Which American football players have COVID-19? The NFL is already facing a problem with positive COVID-19 tests just 3 weeks into the 2020 season. Let us give you the lowdown in today's video on which American football players have COVID-19. Welcome to Trending's Finest, where we give you the hottest updates on the world's most viral news, videos, and stories in the most exciting format. Click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to not miss a single beat of the world's pulse. Week 4 saw 2 games postponed as a result of players testing positive for coronavirus. We give you the reason why, the NFL's first COVID-19 outbreak, the list of players infected with the dreaded disease, and we also include the new COVID-19 protocols that seem to be straight from Big Brother, and weirdly enough also involve robots. Keep watching until the end. NFL's first COVID-19 outbreak, the Tennessee Titans. The NFL has its first COVID-19 team outbreak. A total of 16 members of the Titans organization have now tested positive for COVID-19 in the week following their Week 3 game against the Vikings. ESPN reports that there have been 9 players and 18 personnel who've tested positive. The 8 players that are part of the COVID-19 list are starting nose tackle Daquan Jones, linebacker Kamale Correa, long snapper Bo Brinkley, practice squad tight end Tommy Hudson, wide receiver Adam Humphries, cornerback Christian Fulton, defensive end Jeffrey Simmons, wide receiver Cam Baston, and defensive back Greg Maben. The Titans have closed their practice, and their Week 4 game against Pittsburgh has been postponed, though a decision has not been made yet on the Vikings matchup with the Houston Texans. After their disastrous week, the team received some great news the past 2 days, as no players or personnel members tested positive for the virus on Monday or Tuesday. Tennessee will now have to speak to the league to see how to proceed from here, but the hope is the team can reopen its facility sooner rather than later. Cam Newton, quarterback, Patriots. Newton will miss the Patriots' Week 4 game against the Chiefs after testing positive the Friday night before the game. His positive test forced the league to reschedule the game later on in the week. At the time of his positive test, no other members of the Patriots had tested positive. The latest update declared that all other Patriots tests came back negative for the virus. A.J. Terrell, cornerback, Falcons. Terrell tested positive prior to the Atlanta Week 3 game against the Bears. He was added to the team's COVID-19 reserve list and was inactive for that Week 3 game. He remains on that list and will likely miss Week 4's matchup against the Packers. Terrell was the first player to miss a game in the 2020 NFL season due to a positive COVID-19 test. Jordan Ta'amu, quarterback, Chiefs. While not a member of the active roster, Ta'amu is a member of the Chiefs practice squad. As the Kansas City Star notes, Ta'amu still takes part in team and positional meetings, which means he's still around the team and players. No other Chiefs player has tested positive, but the combination of Ta'amu's positive test and Newton's forced the league to postpone the Week 4 matchup between the Patriots and Chiefs. Stay tuned as we give you the most interesting development from these positive cases, a new set of NFL protocols that seem to be straight from Big Brother and, weirdly enough, also involve robots. The NFL's Big Brother-esque protocols. The list. The NFL implemented a special reserve list called Reserve/COVID-19 in 2020 for players who have to be removed from the active roster because of the coronavirus. But just because a player is put on the list does not mean he tested positive for the virus. The COVID-19 list includes both players who have tested positive and those who have come in close contact with somebody who has tested positive. An agreement between the NFL and the NFLPA established that teams are not allowed to publicly announce a player's medical status, just that he's been placed on the list. Players who are put on the list because they tested positive must follow the return protocols listed below. Those who are put on the list because they tested negative but were determined to be in close contact with an infected person must follow the following return protocols. Second negative test within 24 hours of initial negative test. Increased symptom monitoring. 8 days of daily virus testing. Regular testing schedule thereafter. Daily testing. Daily COVID-19 testing has been in place since the start of NFL training camps for people in 2 groups. Tier 1, players and essential football personnel whose job functions require direct access to players for more than 10 minutes at a time on a regular basis. And Tier 2, other essential personnel who may need to be in close proximity to players and other Tier 1 individuals who may need to access restricted areas periodically. The daily COVID-19 testing for those two groups will continue into the regular season, except on game days, according to ESPN. Other team employees are tested weekly. All NFL team facilities are also equipped for daily symptom screening and temperature checks for everyone who enters. All NFL players who test positive for COVID-19 go through the same protocols. First, they're immediately isolated. They are forbidden to access team facilities and are not allowed to have any direct contact with fellow players or team personnel. They immediately are placed on the reserve/COVID-19 list, more on that below. In the event a player develops symptoms for the first time while inside the team facility, he must go through the following protocols. Immediately isolate in separate room. Continue to wear a mask. Be transported and quarantined at home ASAP. As for when players can return to the team, it depends on a series of even more rules. Robot fans? As of the Monday prior to Week 1, just 6 of the 32 NFL teams were planning to host fans at a significantly reduced capacity. All others had announced they will at least open the season without fans in their stadiums, hoping to eventually invite them back. Yet all NFL stadiums will still feature crowd noise during the games. NFL Executive Vice President Troy Vincent confirmed to reporters on a recent conference call that the league will pipe artificial crowd noise into stadiums. The NFL is also working with the TV network to implement additional fake crowd noise into the game broadcasts. What do you think of the NFL's COVID-19 track record so far? What about the new protocols? Tell us your thoughts in the comments down below so we can talk about it some more. If you want to know about the biggest COVID-19 case in the U.S. right now, check out our other video, How Trump's COVID Case Will Affect His Campaign in the Long Run. The dreaded disease has struck at the core of the presidential race, with President Donald Trump's overnight announcement that he tested positive for COVID-19. The bombshell brings up a series of questions, both practical and political, about how the final month of this campaign will shake out. We discuss with you all those considerations, including the possibility of Donald Trump dropping out of the race altogether. Keep watching until the end. Thank you for watching. This is Trending's Finest. Always the trendiest, always the finest.